This week, I set off from Birmingham to meet with my friend Rhiannon as we explore Warwick. The vast history of Warwick is fascinating. The earliest sign of human activity at Warwick dates back to the Neolithic age, approximately 4000 BC. Since then, it has been home to Roman farmers, Saxon traders, Norman and medieval fortresses. Although I wouldn't say I'm the biggest history fanatic, walking around the streets of Warwick really got me interested, and I did some research. On a hot and dry afternoon on the 5th of September 1694, a stray spark from a blacksmith located on the high street blew into a thatched roof, which began a blaze which would become the Great Fire of Warwick. The architecture at the time was mostly made of wood, and there were very few stone buildings for the local townspeople to take shelter in. One of the nearby buildings that people took themselves and their belongings to was the Church of St. Mary in the centre of the town. People gathered there with their possessions, some of which were ablaze or smouldering, and unfortunately these set aflame to the timber supports on the stone church, causing it to collapse. The Great Fire of Warwick made builders review the way they constructed buildings. The Fire Act of 1694 established new rules and regulations on architecture. The Act stated that public streets and roads should be all made to certain regulated width. It also provided regulations for a standard house design. Many of the buildings we saw were 2 stories of 10 feet in height each, with cellars and garrets. It was interesting for me to see which houses had remained from before the fire. These were identifiable from their jetted facades. Although they are charming and full of character, you can really see how easy the flame would have travelled with these closely grouped together. When walking around, it's really easy to miss the close-up details of these majestic buildings. One of my favourite details was the courthouse railings, which had been recently painted. Round every corner there are surprises in Warwick.
So we've done some exploring around the town. It's really pretty here. There's lots of nice buildings, and now we've just stopped into a pub to have some food. So we've just had a really interesting tour at St. Mary's Church in Warwick, and we learnt so much. We learnt about the bear that features on the Warwickshire county flag, and we also learnt about the fire that took place here. The church is over 900 years old and it's got so much history.
So join us and let's explore. Upon entering the church, we were greeted by the local volunteers who did a great job of explaining the history and also allowing us to film. I was delighted that I could take you along with me. One of my favourite finds of the day were these flags which flew on HMS Warwick during the war in 1918. You can see how the Church of St. Mary proudly supported those who went to war and also supported the families of those who didn't return. We followed the circular tour of the church, and the next stop was down in the crypt. We were surprised to see part of a dunking stool used as punishment in the medieval times. Fortunately for Rhiannon, this one didn't work. The story of the bear and the chain in the county flag has always intrigued me, and I wanted to know where this came from. One of the volunteers in the church was very insightful and he told us the entire story, but I'm going to simplify it. According to the story, the Earl of Warwick defied the king and was sent to the Tower of London. However, during an uprising against the king, the Earl was freed from the Tower of London. The bear loosely wears the chain to proudly show that he escaped imprisonment from the king. As the sun began to set, it felt like we had taken a step back in time. We could enjoy the simpler things with no distractions. We felt like we were living in the present and satisfying our craving for exploration. Suddenly, the most important things became the smallest things. Windows and doors, door knockers and birdsong, the hanging baskets and early spring flowers. Without going into a Julie Andrews song, these really are the things that we overlook in life. What we did on this day didn't require materialistic wealth, but rather life's most precious commodity, time. Next time we visit, we'd love to go to the castle. However, the on-the-door prices were not financially feasible for us, and we'd recommend booking in advance. In one short day, we had learnt a small snippet of the vast history of Warwick. It was now time for us to head back home to Birmingham. The sky had summarised our day perfectly. Red sky at night, shepherd's delight. I do hope you enjoyed this video. Please check out my other adventures. Take care.